everybody, we are back and we are gonna tackle sewing in these signatures. Now, this is how I do it. There's 1,001 ways I'm sure you can do it, but this is how I do it. So I have, we're gonna start with the 3-inch spine first. I've cut a piece of folder. It's a little less than 3 inches, and it fits top to bottom. And the way we make sure it fits real nice is we do this, and it doesn't wrinkle or anything like that. So that's good. So this is going to be our template. I've labeled it top, and I've labeled it 3 because I'm going to try to use the back side for the 2-inch, the other side. Once we get done with this, I'll cut it down, and we'll use this as the template for that. Method to my madness. So, once we cut a strip, and you can use paper, you can use a folder, whatever you want to use for your template is fine. And I use masking tape, or you can use washi. So what I'm doing is kind of lining it up even with, hope you guys can see me. I'm lining it up even with the lines on my mat because I'm going to mark my places. Now, used to, for whatever weird reason, I would always do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. But for some reason, I think because I started making bigger, thicker books, I switched to making a 5-hole. You can see I'm not 100% even. Got a little bit more space over here than I do here. Let's shift this around a little bit. I started doing 5-hole pamphlet stitch, and I just feel like they secure my books a little better. I don't know if there's an actual science to that, but maybe there is, maybe there's not. Okay, since we have 3 signatures, we want 3 you know, I've never done my template with this guy, but maybe may make this easier. I usually use the lines here, so this is going to be my center line. I'm using the dots on my mat. And I'll just draw a line for my center hole. And maybe that's the best route to go. Let's see how. 1. Yeah, I'm not 100% even, if that makes sense. I want to kind of be in between here and here, I think is what I'm leaning towards. See if that works out. So we're doing 1, 2 inches and a dot over. So we'll do, yeah, see, I don't know. Use your brain shell. Yeah, that's right. 1, 2 inches and a dot over. So that's going to be where my 3 signatures are. Now I need to figure out what my halfway mark is. I usually go up a good inch from the bottom. And I come in a good inch from the top. A little more than an inch. And then kind of find the center. I'm going to line it up with this center line. It doesn't have to be 100% even as far as. And then we're going to want I just kind of eyeball my center. I feel like this is crooked. Maybe my page is cut crooked right through there. It doesn't have to be 100% even. The main thing is as long as your lines, yeah, as long as your lines are even. Because you don't want like this signature to be this tall and this, you don't want your signature, you want your signatures all to line up very seamlessly. And so these little dots are where I'm going to poke my holes. And poking holes may be a little bit of a challenge because, again, got to remember our spines are pretty thick on these books. So here's my template. I labeled my top because you wouldn't think that would matter, but it does matter. It's one of those first lessons I learned. Lining this up, I'm just going to use my tape to smoosh that down. And look at me. I just said it matters. Let's turn our page, our book right to where we are at the top. So you can use washi for this, or like I said, I use masking tape. I'm not sticking it to this paper here because I don't want to pull up my paper, but it sticks pretty good to fabric. And then I've got the, I don't know what this is called, Big Chomp or Big Bite Crocodile. Oh, that was, And I'm just going to go in and chomp down where my I have to get up to do this. Again, I've got a thick spine that I'm working with. Plus, dropping through material and all that good stuff. So this may take us a minute. Lining this up on the holes. Y'all gonna hear me grunting. I have 0 upper body strength. So it takes a minute to, even when my spines aren't real thick, I still have to. Certainly a workout, but we have 3 holes. Now just a gazillion more to go. Sewing in your signatures, you can use a variety. Usually what I use is embroidery thread. When I first started making journals, I had a small roll. It's like a sample roll of some waxed bookbinding thread. And I loved that. It was so easy to work with as far as the waxed thread and all that. I used all that. And then, you'll hear me huffing and puffing. Used all that and then just was using embroidery thread, which you can use a variety of colors for that. But I've recently bought a roll of wax thread, another roll of wax thread, and back to using that. And I just really like it better for, it's for bookbinding. I feel like I get a good tie with my strings with the waxed thread. So that's kind of why I like it. Got a hair tickling my back. Okay, moving on. See how my template's staying in place? Because I've got it taped down. You could clip it down, but then you gotta work around your clips. I think what I'll do is I will sew the signatures in on this guy and then save y'all this brutal workout and sew the signatures in on the other guy, depending on our time, off camera. Again, I'm punching through some thick cardboard, fabric on the inside, fabric on the outside, and our folder here. So I'm punching through quite a bit. But that's what this tool is designed for. It's pretty cool like that. Okay. Goodness. Here are little bits and bobs. We'll set this aside. Man, that's a workout. And we have our holes punched. So we're technically done with the template for this. No, we're not. I just told a lie, y'all. I gotta use my template to punch my holes in my signatures. So, woo! We have holes. You can come through and clean up these little bits. That hole punch thing, it punches through fabric, but it doesn't always do a clean cut. So I'm not too stressed about that, but set that aside. Now we are focusing on our signatures. Let me get my waxed thread. This is what I was telling you about, the waxed thread. It's just so much easier to work with. And a needle. And show you how I do this. You can use that punch to punch your holes in your signatures. And I've done that before, but I feel like, sorry for the bouncing around. I gotta get my, woo, that was a workout. Gotta get my clips. So, I've done the hole punching in this before, but as you know, you may or may not know, I haven't figured out the best way to explain this. Pages folded together shift. See how I shifted? And so if I lay flat and poke a hole, then when I fold, it's going to be different. And if I fold and poke a hole, it's going to be different when I lay flat. So I have found the easiest way for me, the best way, is to get all my pages together. And I got to do this kind of in my lap. So I'm still here, but I'm kind of tucking all my pages together. Because I have a bunch of random sized pages in this journal. I don't want them all to be down at the bottom. I want them some to be in the middle and some to be up towards the top and all that. So, for example, this page, I don't want it all the way at the bottom, so I have to shift it up a little bit. And my biggest page, the second page, is the size of my journal. So I'm kind of just shifting people around a little bit. Excuse me. Like this envelope page, I don't want down at the bottom. This smaller sheet page, I don't want down at the bottom. But I don't necessarily want a whole bunch of stuff hanging out, so I got to kind of keep that in mind. So when I get my pages sorted as to where I want them, kind of tuck them together nice and tight, and I clip them together. Usually I can get away with one clip on each. Since we've got some funky pages, I'm going to add a few more clips. Just because I don't want anything really shifting around while I'm trying to poke holes. So we got a signature all nice and tight. And I'm going to do that to all three of them. This one is going to be a little tricky because my front page is not full. And I have a lot of, I got to do it off camera because I got to sit it in my lap and shift it. But I'm shifting some of those little flat pages that are just, 2 or 3 inches long. I don't want them all to be sitting at the bottom. So I shifted these around to where these are up a little bit more. This is up in the middle some more. So yeah. I'm gonna find my center. I don't know why, but I always put the ruler in. I guess just to kind of give it a little bit of weight. And then they're tight. And we're gonna have to add a couple of extra clips to this one because, again, my cover's not 100% at the top. I don't want it shifting around. Okay. So I'll clip all my signatures together in my lap again. Okay. This one feels like it's folded funny. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Okay, so all of my signatures are tight. They're held together. Get that mess cleaned up real quick. And so, signature 1, I'm going to fold it open just a little bit. I don't want to fold it open wide because, again, I'm going to shift, and I don't want to do that. This template tells me the size of my book. And if you can see, it hangs over the size of my pages just a little bit. So I'm going to scoot it down and kind of eyeball it to get it where it hangs over on the top and on the bottom. And I'm going to use a pen and just mark where my holes should be. Now I've got my holes marked. Again, I'm not trying to open it wide. And I'm going to come in with my awl. I'm going to fold my pages kind of closed and poke all the way through. All the way down my holes, all 5 holes. And I'm going to keep my pages clipped until I get them in my binder. My book. And so let me see, just to see if I'm good. So I don't know if you can see, but this is where my hole is, and I'm lining them up. And I'm not too far up top and I'm not too far at the bottom. I'm kind of perfect size. I kind of indent a little bit and indent a little bit. And that's where I want them. You know, you don't want all your signatures at the top and have this big space at the bottom and all that. And so for the future, the next 2 or 3, I don't typically use my template, but I think I'm going to since these are so thick. Let's see if I can do it with this one. Oh, look what I did. Okay, we didn't get, okay. We'll have to, let's back up and regroup, shall. This signature, when we clipped it, we missed our center page. So, backing up and starting again. I had my ruler in the wrong place, probably, is what happened. Okay, now we're in the center. Okay, carrying on. But see what I did? I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's crooked. So, again, I always have one signature that causes me issue. And I always have one sewing spot. When I'm sewing in my signatures, the top hole always gives me issue. And I don't know why. It always does, though. I'm going to keep this one side. Nope, I got to unclip them all. This edge keeps shifting, and I don't know why. I mean, I think I know why, because there's a lot of weight on this back page with this card and envelope and all that. And so it's shifting because I'm pulling this instead of this page, if that makes any sense. Okay, we're nice and tight now. Goodness. Okay. Nice and tight now. Carrying on. Back to signature 1 has the holes. Signature 2, I just still feel like I need to use. I can use my template, but if I'm off a little on the top or the bottom, then my holes are going to be off. But using your other signature, I can line my pages up. Top and bottom. And so all my pages will be even. You know, you won't have one signature taller than the other kind of thing. It's just kind of hard to mark this because it's so dark. So I'm afraid I'm not going to see my pen marks, but I'm just kind of going through and actually kind of poking a little hole with my pen. And then I can come back in with my awl and make like a real hole. You gotta be careful that you don't poke through and poke your finger. Okay, so now we have 2 signatures. And if I line them up, my holes appear to be matching, so that's good. And third signature, where's my hole? It's kind of tricky because you can barely see where you've poked the holes. This one you can see pretty good, but in this darker page you can barely see it. So again, I could use my template, but then I got to make sure my measurements upper and below and lower are on point. It's easier just to line my pages up, all my signatures lined up together. That makes any sort of sense. I've learned these things the hard way. And had crooked journals and all that. Okay, so we are not, oh, okay, yeah, we are. I was like, we're not really lined up, but I don't know if you can see this or not, but my middle signature is a little hair shorter. So when I stand them up like this, the gravity shifts it down. But when I shift it up a little bit, all my holes line up. Which is correct, because I don't want my middle signature smaller, so it kind of tucks in between them, if that makes any sort of sense. Okay, signatures are poked. The spine is poked, and now we got to figure out our thread. And I do 3 times the length. I think this is pretty common because it works. 3 times the length of the book. And we have 3 signatures, so I want 3 strands. Ooh. Again, I'm using waxed thread for bookbinding specifically. And I just, again, think it works out the best. Excuse me. Okay. So, in sewing our signatures in, I always start with the back. I don't know why. That's just how I was taught. And I haven't explored it to see if it makes sense to do it any other way. So we start with the back signature. I'm still clipped because I want everybody to stay in place while I'm sewing in. And it takes my brain a minute to get the 5-hole stitch. I'm still in the brainwave of 3-hole stitch. Not coming all the way to the end. I'm hanging on to my inside thread and going down 1 and back in. And down out the bottom. Hanging on to my center thread, but pulling tight. Oh, I shifted, my signature shifted. So, came in here, out there, in here, and I'm going back out here. You don't want to thread through your you don't want to rethread your thread, if that makes sense. You don't want to split your thread. If you split your thread, it's not gonna pull tight for you. Then I'm gonna go up to the second hole. Again, I'm poking through quite a bit of stuff on this spine. Holding on to my center thread. Your center end tail is going to tighten these bottom 2. Then once you get up here, this is going to tighten these 2, if that makes any sort of sense. Okay, I got sidetracked here. In there, okay, we're going up to the top. And this is always where I didn't have too big of an issue there. Up to the top and then back through the second one. You see my threads are loose over here. But this is going to tighten my bottoms. And this one's going to tighten my top. So I came through the second one and I'm going back through the middle one. problem with getting my threads tight is that I don't have much leeway to work with. And so when I come through with my thread here, I want to split the hairs of the center and have one over here and one over here. Now, I didn't split my thread, but I split in the center. So I'm gonna make sure I got a good and tight. I'm pulling my center pieces to make sure I'm good and tight. And then I'll tie. This is where I was saying the wax thread comes in better. It ties better. With embroidery floss, you kind of got to get a really good knot. Wax, I mean, you got to get a good knot, but the wax helps seal it. I trimmed my inside threads. Now that I've got this sewed in, I can take my clips off because we're pretty secure in the book. And we're not too far on the bottom, not too far on top, not too far off to the side. So that is good stuff. So moving on to the second one. I have the worst habit of tossing my needle whenever I finish sewing in a signature. I usually have to look for it. Okay. Wax thread is easier to thread the needle as well. Just saying. I'm not sponsored by wax thread. I just like it. Okay, this is our middle signature. Doing the same thing, poking in through the middle. Now see, if I had already put my ties on, I'd be dealing with my ties back and forth and trying to keep them out of my way and all that. So pull it through. I'm holding it in the center. Down to next to the last one. I can't see my hole. There it is. Down to the last one. Find my center thing and hang on to it. Up to the second to last one. Cross over our middle and go into the second one. Hang on to my tail. That's the wrong tail. Hang on to my tail. And you don't want to pull too tight to where you're ripping pages, but you do want a good tight, tie in there. Oh, see, I'm up to the top, and this is where it causes me issues every time. Ah, I spoke too soon. Down and back through here. You can see my threads are getting loose here. So I'm gonna, this one will tighten that, and then my inner tail will tighten these. So I'm gonna pull my inner tail and tighten those, and then this will tighten that. Back through the center, trying not to split my thread, but I want to split the inner thread. I don't want to split the thread, but I want to split my sides, if that makes sense. One on each side. And pull them nice and tight. Before I tie, I'm going to make sure I'm nice and tight. I'm gonna pull these extra tight because I'm going over, there's a bump in this fabric that is making it not lay flat. So pulling kind of tight tying it in. I usually tie it 3 times. And you can leave your tails long, and you can add some beads and charms and all that down here if you want. I'm not doing that. I'm just leaving them. And so my signature's in. I can pull this. Pull that. Pull that. And we're in. Good deal. Good deal, good deal. Okay, last signature, and then this one will be done. Done, done, done. I don't know why I don't particularly care to sew in my signatures. It's just not my favorite part. I think the whole measuring thing, and you know, because it is, you have to kind of get it right, or else your book's going to be wonky, and your pages are going to be wonky, and all that. And so there is a, while there's no rules in all this, there is kind of some rules in that. And so not a huge fan of the measuring and accuracy and all that good stuff when it comes to that, if it makes sense. It took my brain a minute to get the 5-hole pamphlet down pat, because I felt like I was, I mean, because you're going back through, but I felt like I was like, I've already been in this hole, you know, because of the 3-hole, you don't really do that, so you don't have a lot of overlap, but with the 5-hole, there is some overlap, so you gotta let that go. I'm pulling tight on my bottom with my inner tail, and oh, come on, where are you? There you are. I need to flip you on the other side. There you go. Okay, all sewed in. Pulling us tight. Making sure we're tight. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So yeah, I'm not going to do this on camera with the other one. You guys get the gist of sewing in a signature. And there's 1,001 videos on YouTube on how to sew in a signature. Uh-oh. So I'm not gonna spare, I'm gonna spare y'all that. So we are in like Flynn. Okay, so assessing here. We are a good maybe 1/2 inch from the top. We're kind of down closer to the bottom, but that's okay. We're still got a little bit of a leeway. We're pretty good here. Nice and tight here. And so I'm just going to do a real quick flip through to make sure none of my pages got sewed in crooked or wrong. Sometimes if you have ephemera in here, they can lean over and get pierced. You don't want to do that. Make sure I didn't sew my ephemera into the pockets. No. Good, 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 good. Quite a bit of space between the signatures, but that's okay because, you know, the signatures are pretty thick with ephemera, so we need that space. for it to lay flat. See, like I said, there's a good almost 2 finger space between each signature, but signatures are thick, so it worked out okay. Ooh, I'm not really liking that. A little loose, but that's okay. Nope, not a major deal. Not a major deal. Okay. There we have it. So now, I'm going to pull this whole thing off of its cardboard. Don't know how long it is. Maybe 2 yards. I don't know. I'm going to cut it in half. And so 1/2 is going to be the front, and 1/2 is going to be the back. And so have these again, and I'm just going to poke that through. I'm going to use my awl to kind of grab it because it's, or I could use pliers, but I don't have pliers handy. Just a typical knot. Your loop knot is what I did. And then I always tie another knot just to kind of help keep it in place. And I'm going to tie the edges. Just a little knot. You could put beads on this or, you know, whatever. Back side, the other piece, figure out the halvesy mark, and come through with it. And we'll do a loop knot. And over time, I mean, I could iron this ribbon. Over time, it will chill out. And tie us. And tie my edges. And tie this edge. Just to help from keeping it unraveling. And now, you can tie us shut. Probably should have made this spine a little smaller, but I'm okay with that. And actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna make these guys a little smaller. So, I'm just gonna tie us a good tie. And then I'm gonna come in and trim us. And then we'll retie our ends. That way we don't have a whole lot of flu-flu going on here. This kind of a blank cover lends itself to adding something right there, a nameplate or something like that. And if I come across it, I might, but okay, there we have it. Like I said, I could have used a smaller spine, but I think I'm good. That gives us a lot of room to wiggle, and, you know, whoever ends up with it can add more stuff to it, and there you go. We're done with that one. And again, I'm going to spare you the details of sewing this one in. Once I get my signature sewed in, I will I'm not going to eyelet this because I have my tie already. I'll glue this to the top. Get this out over here. I'll glue this to the top, and it will be ready to go to tie. So, and I'll probably trim it down a little bit, but yeah, same kind of process. I'll make a template using this, maybe. Yeah, I'll have to trim it down, so I may not can use this because it's already got the holes in it. That's going to probably throw me off. So I'll probably just cut a new template for this. Poke my holes with the template, then I'll poke my signatures, and we'll sew it in, and then we'll add the cover as the finishing touch. So, and then we'll be done with them. So, again, goodness, what a ride. Thank you guys for joining me on this. I'll do some flip throughs of these individually, and kind of go over all my pieces in them once I get them all finished and all that. And then they'll be up on, they'll be available for sale. I am in the process of possibly moving away from Etsy and doing another platform. So I'll let you guys know more about that later. But anyways, thanks for joining me on this little ride for French Farm. Again, check out Bontik Vintage Designs. His information's below. I used his kit for some inspiration in a lot of this. You know, a lot of our ephemera and pages are his works. So French Farm is this kit. He has hundreds of others that are really cool. So check him out, see what you think, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.